Welcome to King County at your service. I'm Jackie Ablao. Ever wonder how investigators use fingerprints to help solve crimes? Here's a look at the Automated Fingerprint Identification System, or AFIS.
We respond to several thousand crime scenes a year, everything from auto theft to homicides.
We get a wide variety of items, anything that could be associated with a crime. It might be weapons or tools, robbery notes from a bank.
If there's a previous set of fingerprints, the system should pull them up, and then we would compare the fingerprints side by side on the computer screen.
AFIS stands for Automated Fingerprint Identification System.
Everybody's fingerprints are unique. Even identical twins have different fingerprints.
Latent fingerprints. Those are invisible fingerprints that may be left behind during the commission of a crime.
Latent prints can be left by a variety of substances that are on the surface of your skin. Sweat, body oils, potato chips, or French fries.
We have people that go out to crime scenes and process fingerprints to make them visible and collect them. We also have people that work in our processing lab.
Evidence will come in and we'll do a visual inspection and then develop prints if there are any. We'll photograph any of those prints. Any prints that we develop, we then will send up to our examiners.
We're trying to identify the print that was recovered. So we'll go ahead and search through the databases that we have. We have a local, state, and the FBI database.
Fingerprints are created for a concealed pistol license applicant, a criminal justice applicant, and or someone that is arrested.
We do fingerprints in order to verify the identity of the individuals that are brought into our jail facility, and we also create their criminal history.
It's not uncommon for a person to use someone else's name if they're hiding a warrant. So for those people that get arrested and have their prints taken, we will know within 30 minutes whether that person is already in the system and what identity they used last time. And then every person that gets arrested gets compared to those unsolved latent prints. And then eventually there may be a cold case that gets solved. There's often a misconception that we're just here to ID the bad guy. If someone is believed to have been involved in a crime, we may find the evidence that clears them of that. We're also helpful to those folks that have identity theft issues, or we may be able to identify a deceased individual who's been found in the woods. We can run those prints to help identify someone that may have been missing for quite some time.
It's really rewarding, especially trying to find closure for families. It's a public service and it feels great being able to help out the community.
What does it take to be a judge in Washington State? Compassion, understanding, persistence. These are some of the traits of King County's first judge of Samoan heritage.
Judges are people, and we all come from different walks of life. We all come from different socioeconomic statuses. And you come up on the bench and the people appear before you, and you realize, hey, you know what? That person could have grew up in my neighborhood. So this is the King County District Court in the Seattle Division. What I handle here is multiple different types of cases, mostly DUI type matters. When you read the police report, it's a snapshot of that point in time in life. The person coming before you may not be that same person. They could be either better or they could be a lot worse. And you got to gauge that as a judge. I grew up in a very poor part of town in San Francisco, knowing what was happening with the drug and alcohol abuse and the violence on the streets. At the same time, I come from a very proud Samoan tradition. And so being a first generation born here in America, we had to struggle with growing up American or growing up Samoan. I think having that type of experience, it enriches me by sitting on the bench so that when people come before me, I understand a lot more of where they're at, what they need to do. How many days a week do you work? 2 to 3 days, okay. I'm gonna find that you are eligible for public defender. I'm gonna reappoint the public defender's office to represent you. We would joke sometimes as public defenders that our clients are the kids who didn't go to class or who sat in the back row. Well, I could tell you one thing, I always sat in the back row of every class I could, and I'm sitting here, so that's, we're gonna rebuff that right now. It says you're in good standing and considered to be a patient sustained in remission, and he continues to progress excellently with no concerns. That's fantastic. It's not just the things on the surface. Let's pull that aside for a second and let's look it down and see why this person is reacting. And a lot of times there's some type of trauma that had happened when they were younger. What they really need is they need help. They need understanding and they need compassion. The community courts get you to a situation where you're able to identify what the issues are, set them up with the right organizations that can help them with the treatment, get them housing, get them a job. But at the end of the day, it's the person themselves that really has to want to get the treatment and really wants to change and really wants to make a difference in their lives. Outstanding last treatment report. That's phenomenal. Keep up the good work. I really mean it. We try to get people to understand what they need to do so that they can be successful. We don't want to set people up to fail. We want people to learn from this and move forward and not make the same mistake again. The other day I was asked if there was pressure on me for being the first Samoan judge appointed in Washington State. And to be honest, my whole career has been built for this moment. And the only pressure that I feel is the pressure I put on myself to do the right thing and to follow the law.
King County has purchased 3 hotels to help house those facing homelessness. It's a program called Help Through Housing.
So this is a property, and it's one of 8 that we now have for folks who are experiencing chronic homelessness or who are at risk of chronic homelessness. This location in Pioneer Square, obviously under construction, a completed former extended stay hotel in North Seattle, and then a completed former extended stay hotel in the city of Federal Way. And we're grateful for the partnership of Seattle and Federal Way. We'll be working with folks and providing services, and what we find is that once a person is able to sleep, can lock the door, is stable, that they are often able to get a job if that's appropriate for them. Sometimes they're able to make connections with family members or friends. And then some folks will live here for a long time, and that's okay too.
The plan is to help as many people as possible to begin to take steps forward towards self-sufficiency. There are people who will not be able to do that, but there are a lot of people who can. So get stabilized by moving into a place of your own. Get the treatment you need if you have an underlying challenge. Get the job training and the job connections and begin to take those steps back towards self-sufficiency. That is our goal. And for the folks that we're welcoming in here, just as we are with folks what we're welcoming in the hotels, we're going to be constantly working with them to help them reclaim their lives.
This year, going to open up more than 800 spaces, and by the end of next year, it'll be 1,600.
To have local food, you need local farms. In King County's hot real estate market, it's not easy for farmers to compete. But King County is protecting thousands of acres of farmland to give longtime and new farmers, including new Americans, a chance to support the community.
I'm blessed to be able to work outside all day, to hear the birds, to be on the land, and to do something bigger than myself, is to grow food for people. As a young farmer, as a BIPOC farmer, as an up-and-coming farmer, I'm relying on King County to preserve agricultural land.
This first bed is of kale, the collards, cabbage, broccoli.
Many of the locally grown goods, the fresh flowers, the fresh produce, come from land that has been protected by the people of King County over the last 40 years.
I'm a really old farmer, stay here for 35 years. So, farming, growing flower, make it from my living, for my children to use it or learning to do farming for generation and generation.
One of the biggest barriers we have to the viability and growth of our local food system is the accessibility and affordability of farmland. So what the Farmland Preservation Program does, by buying the development rights off of local farmland, it can keep the cost of farmland affordable to new and beginning farmers, socially disadvantaged farmers.
Our Farmland Protection Program has helped permanently protect some 16,000 acres of farms in King County, protect them against development. Now our Land Conservation Initiative seeks to protect the next 13,000 acres of threatened farmland.
The Land Conservation Initiative is focused on 6 categories of land that we need to help support our environment, our economy, and the health of our community. And farmland is a really important component. It helps protect our access to local food, as well as supports our economy.
We've had a lot of chefs reach out to us looking to get some of our produce, and we have a couple different connections with some local mutual aid organizations in Seattle.
So it is our job, if we believe that farming is important, that local access to local food is important, it's our job to make sure we preserve those lands and we make it possible for farmers to continue doing what they do best.
People do want to have access to fresh, local, sustainable food. Land access is, I think, the largest issue that the county can help with.
Did you know you don't have to speak English to call 911? Operators can actually patch you into interpreters so you can get the help you need.
Calling 911 can be scary, especially if you don't speak English as a first language. Did you know that you should call 911 in an emergency event if you don't speak English? "911, what are you reporting?"
No hablo inglés.
What language do you speak?
Spanish.
Un momento, por favor. This is the King County Sheriff Department. I need a Spanish interpreter, please.
Hello, I'm your Spanish interpreter. Go ahead when you're ready.
Can you ask her to give me her address to start with, please?
¿Qué es la dirección de su emergencia?
Mi dirección es 3105 Emery Lane.
Her address is 3105 Emery Lane.
Can you ask her her last name first and then the first name, please? The interpreter and the 911 telecommunicator will then ask what your emergency is, then get you the assistance you need.
Veo a un hombre en la casa de mi vecino viendo adentro de las ventanas.
Can you please give me a description of the person, starting with the race?
Por favor, ¿me puede dar una descripción de la persona, empezando con la raza?
No sé, solo veo su espalda.
She can't tell. His back is to her.
Can you give me a description of clothing from the head down, please?
Darme una descripción de su ropa, empezando desde su cabeza a sus pies.
Trae una chamarra oscura y pantalones de mezclilla azules.
He is wearing a dark jacket and blue jeans.
Stay on the line, caller. We have entered a call for dispatch. If anything changes, please let me know right away.
Por favor, quédate en la línea y avísame si hay algún cambio o se va. La patrulla llegará pronto.
Ya veo la patrulla.
She says she sees the police coming down the street.
Thank you very much. Tell her she did a good job and we appreciate her call.
Gracias. Ya puede desconectar.
Who doesn't love the vibrant flowers at Pike Place Market? Well, meet one remarkable farmer who has grown the gorgeous blooms for decades.
Summertime, down the Pike Place Market, just the tourists, they come, they buy flowers. A long time ago, 1982, all Hmong people and Ming people come from Thailand, refugee camp, and we are here in Seattle. I have my youngest son. I just take my little baby out here, and put on my back and then working on the field.
She would have a little sling, put me on her back, and she'd be out in the fields pretty much all day. And I mean, pretty much as soon as I got old enough to walk, I was everywhere, you know. We didn't have a babysitter, so the farm was my babysitter.
I'm a really old farmer, stay here for 35 years. So, farming, growing flower, make it for my living, for my children to use it, or learning to do farming for generation and then generation.
I've seen how hard my folks work. I couldn't imagine us having no farmland. I mean, my life would be very different. This is my main gig. I'm either at Pike Place, or I'm doing orders for flowers, or I'm here at the farmers markets.
I never start a farm, I just keep going. I'm gonna stay here for a long time. I'm very, very happy, I very appreciate that.
Thanks for joining us for King County at your service. Check us out online at kingcounty.gov/KCTV. See you next time.